think a lot of black voters are going to see this as a system that has been corrupt for a long time, and they're going to sympathize with Trump. And there's just a lot of people in general who have been a victim of sometimes bad prosecution. But
David, I want to go on the record, and I just want to tell you and tell
Yeah.
your viewers at the same time, I'm hereby predicting that because of what happened today, this just solidified the presidency for President Donald Trump. I think it's really that simple. I think there's going to be a groundswell of support, sympathy, whatever you want to call it. But this type of actions enrages people. I'm not a person that likes to engage in identity politics, race, whatever. But the reality is there are a lot of individuals in the minority community, specifically the black community. They have had abuses in the system. They have been subjected to a different type of justice than somebody that has money might have experienced. And they can relate to former President Donald Trump at this point. And I think this is only going to cause more support to flow his way.
I agree with that. I would say my concern overall is what Democrats figured out is elections aren't about being popular, the most popular president or candidate. It's about who can collect the most ballots. And what we have raging at the state level and state courts is there's a plethora of lawsuits of trying to prevent ballots from arriving after election day, or that the return address must be written in hand. I think we've made a lot of progress in some key states in making election integrity a bigger thing. I hope it's enough, because all of the mail ballots were overwhelmingly for Biden and the in-person votes were for Trump. And it's the voter rolls haven't been cleaned up in some states. I mean, they're starting to be now. But that's what concerns me, is who can collect the most ballots, even though there is clearly more optimism for Donald Trump. It's all the polls say that.
David, you're right on the money as usual, and I can echo exactly what you're saying. I will add to it that the Democrats have always been good with the ground game. That has always helped them, especially with local races. Having said that, President Trump has came out along with the Republican Party. He obviously put in a new leader there, and I believe his sister-in-law, or his daughter-in-law rather, is one of the co-presidents or co-chairman, whatever the title is. And this time he's learned from 2016. He has a solid game this time, a solid game plan to get people to the polls. And again, I encourage your viewers, everyone, support President Donald Trump, support the Republican Party. If you're mad right now about what has happened, get online and donate.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on there. And I would also encourage everyone watching, don't let this destroy your spirit, and also don't let it get you so angry that you would put yourself in a bad situation to do anything stupid, because what the deep state would want is to find a reason to take away more civil liberties. So pray and engage actively in a electoral way, because there absolutely is hope for this. We absolutely still can turn this thing around.
David, I just want to say one thing. You're absolutely right on this again, because I can tell you from personal experience, I've had people contact me and basically they're angry, and it's not like they want to commit violence, but they're really boiling. And I think that's important at a time like this, that we remind everyone of the honest, just everyone that we already know exactly what we should and shouldn't do. And that is, there's never room for violence. The example of Martin Luther King Jr., the example of many of our founders and leaders, we need to have peaceful protests, peaceful change, and use the law to our advantage by lawful, peaceful means to bring about the change we need. It's very important that we all get involved. It's very important that we all rise up and actually do something. So many of us do nothing. We just, it's amazing. Something happens to someone behind a gym and you got people rioting in the streets, yet we're slowly losing our liberties over the past 60 years. I can't get people to send an email to their senators. Now is the time to change.
Yeah, it is. And when you send a letter to Congress, your representative or your senator, they do math where they multiply that and realize that a certain amount of people Sometimes it's 1,000. The number of variables or varies, but they realize one person represents a lot more people in having a particular view. So just one letter or one phone call means a lot. But to get back to the stories, the liberal media is drooling over this, and it just, again, it shows that they're paid actors. These are just some reactions. Senator Mike Lee, congratulations, progressives. You've just guaranteed Trump's election. Comfortably smug. Dem have reached the send election opponents to jail stage of defending democracy. Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. That is. Let's see. Let's watch the PBS.
And I think it should not be minimized that this trial was fair, that Judge Merchan sometimes objected on the part of the defense,
Absolutely.
particularly during Stormy Daniels' testimony, and then sustained his own objections, however that works, that weren't made by the defense. But to Rachel's point about fairness, that was clearly the ethos that this judge brought to this courtroom.
Fairness. Really? They didn't even have to agree on what the precondition crime was. The judge said that there's 3 crimes here, and you only have to choose one. You don't have to agree, which that doesn't even seem that technically is correct.
Exactly. I made a video on this exact subject earlier today, and you're right on spot. Can you imagine in our country, United States of America, we're supposed to be the example to the world of how to have fair courts, that justice is blind, that we don't do one thing or another based on who you are. Yet they were able to return a verdict on dead misdemeanors